turn our page to week 7. Big matchup this week. NFC North, which is probably, I don't even think you can argue right now, the best division in football. Every team's got a winning record. You've got a big matchup this week with Lions and Vikings. Lions, obviously coming off a blowout win off of the, god-awful Cowboys. Vikings coming off a bye after they took down the Jets in London. King of the North, who's it going to be? Lions or Vikings? I feel like this is going to be probably the best game of the weekend, in my opinion.
I think it's going to be the Vikings. I think they're coming off a bye week. Aiden Hutchinson's out. They don't have to worry about him as much. And the Lions are good, but their secondary is still not the best. It was definitely their weakness last year. It definitely improved, but it's still not the best. And I think that Justin Jefferson might just slice right through him. He's been looking rejuvenated and just lights out. Number 1 wide receiver in the league for sure.
I think he's the number 1 wide receiver in the league.
Yeah, I do too.
What's your thought? What's your take, Z?
I mean, the Vikings have been on a run this year, but I'm probably going to take the Lions in this one. I'm not going to doubt their offense with how powerful it is. I think they could go out there and easily outscore the Vikings. They have JJ, but if you look at their rushing game, I know they got someone, but it's still not great. So I think the Lions can go out there and easily outscore them. And I think the Lions do have a decent secondary. They can go out there and compete. JJ is the best wide receiver in the league, but they don't have too many. Jordan Addison hasn't been doing great this year. So I think the Lions will end up taking this, maybe a rally win for Aiden. But
I always look at it this way. To me, it's kind of a toss-up game, and I always tend to take the better quarterback. Now, is Jared Goff better than Sam Darnold? I think he is right now. History shows that he's a better quarterback. He's been to a Super Bowl when he was young. He's went to the NFC Championship game last year. Sam Darnold is still Sam Darnold. And I just feel like as great as he's playing, and I think he's playing way out of his mind, I'm still kind of waiting for that other shoe to drop. And is this going to be the week? Now, do I think that the Lions are going to blow out the Vikings? No, but I do feel like the Lions – I think it's going to be a higher scoring game. It's not going to be a defensive struggle. When I say higher scoring, like 34, 31, something along those lines. But I feel like the Lions, I know it's in Minnesota, but I think the Lions, like you said, are going to rally around Hutchinson.
I definitely don't think it's going to be a blowout.
No.
Yeah, I agree.
Another big matchup this weekend. 2 of the best young quarterbacks in the league, Texans at the Packers. Texans coming off a resounding victory over my Patriots, even though Drake May did show us some hope, much like Luke Skywalker, bringing hope back to the Force, taking us out of the dark side. Jordan Love, after missing 2 games with a knee injury, has thrown the second most touchdown passes in the NFL so far, even though he missed 2 games. Texans at Packers. What's your all's thoughts on this one?
Okay.
Go ahead.
Look, I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I think it's going to be a shootout. You're going to see 2 young quarterbacks go at it. I think CJ is the better quarterback out of the 2, so I'm going to take Houston out of it. Look, I think both of the defenses are playing well this year. Houston is playing a little bit better. But, it's going to be high scoring, 30 points at least on each side.
I think this is another one of those toss-up games. It's at Green Bay, so they definitely got an edge with the crowd there. And I think the quarterbacks are relatively comparable. I think they're both some of the best quarterbacks in the league right now. Um, but I'll take Green Bay's run game over Houston's run game. Houston really hasn't been able to generate a run game very much this season. Um, I'd like to see Josh Jacobs get his first ever receiving touchdown. He's never had one yet. Now, he's been in the league for 7 years or something like that, 5, 6, 7 years, somewhere in that range. Now, not only do I want to see that because I own him in fantasy, but also because that would be cool to see that. But the biggest thing for me is I think the coaching. I think Matt LaFleur is offensive coach, and I think he's going to dial up some plays. I got to see what Matt LaFleur did against the Rams. Even though Matt LaFleur was Sean McVay's part of Sean McVay's tree, I don't think Sean McVay's ever beaten him. And I think Sean McVay personally, not only as a Rams fan, but as just an NFL fan, is one of the best offensive coaches in the league. And Matt LaFleur, is he knows how to dial up the plays. And I think that is going to be a big mismatch.
Well, I first of all, I picked the Packers to go to the Super Bowl. So, which, they're completely still in it at 4-2. But also, I think Jordan Love is a better quarterback than C.J. Stroud. Up and down. I think C.J. being a rookie and doing what he did was phenomenal. But I think at the end of the year, I think as long as they both stay healthy, Jordan Love will have a better statistical season than C.J. Stroud. Houston, their running game has struggled, but they got Mixon back last week, and that was a big boost to that offense and their defense. Yeah. I mean, trust me, our offensive line is the worst. I think there's UFFL lines that are better than the Patriots line right now. It's like a screen door in a windstorm. It just keeps blowing wide open. And I wanted Drake May to go in really bad. I think he should have went in a week before against Miami. He held up against Houston, but Houston's defense is legit. Yeah. But the Packers' defense is good too. Their secondary is really good.
And I think they're getting Jair Alexander back.
Yeah, and they're ball hawks.
And he's been stepping up.
Yeah.
So I feel like in this game, into Lambeau is different. I mean, I've been there. It's a different environment, and it's one of those like C.J. Stroud. I don't know if he's going to be ready. I think it's going to be a really good game, but I got the Packers in that one. I don't think it's going to be as high scoring. I think it's going to be probably in the 20s, 27, 21, something like that. But I feel like this is going to be the Packers to win. Last game we can talk about real quick. Super Bowl rematch. Chiefs team that's 5-0 with even though the offense has struggled. Mahomes has the same amount of interceptions as Will Levis at 6. Believe it or not.
6 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, I'm pretty sure.
Against the Niners, who are slowly getting healthy. And my boy Brock Purdy, I love that kid so much. He's like my fourth son. And everybody shits on him all the time. And I'm like, the kid he's a gamer. He's got moxie. In San Francisco, Super Bowl rematch. What do you think about that one?
I mean, I think this is the game of the week for sure. I think this is when the Niners kind
of over the Lions and the Vikings?
Yeah, over the Lions and Vikings, game of the week. I think this is where the Niners get a little more momentum, getting healthy, getting back into it, stomp the Chiefs going into it. I don't think it's going to be that high scoring of a game. I think maybe 2010, 13-20, something like that, in that range. But look, Mahomes has been struggling with the wide receiver core he has. Hollywood Brown getting hurt the way he did not do anything for them. And then Rashid Rice getting hurt as well. You know, they're down to their third string wide receivers there. And then
Who's the
Travis
next guy
Kelce
up for
looks
them?
like
It does like
Xavier Worthy.
yeah. Well, Xavier Worthy. I mean, he's looking
well,
good.
he's kind of a gadget guy.
Yeah.
I think he's going to have to not be a gadget guy going forward. I think for the Chiefs to make this three-peat, I think they should get on the phone and maybe even call the Rams and try and get Cooper Kupp.
I've heard he might be on the trading block.
Yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised at that.
Yeah, I mean, definitely a big trade incoming for Kansas City. But look, their defense is still solid. So it's not going to be crazy scoring. But the Niners have a high-powered offense going into it, even without CMC. You know, Debo's been producing. You know, Brandon Ayuk, he's been struggling a little bit because of the holdout.
Last couple games, he's played much better.
I think he's still a star, so hopefully he gets back into it, and this might be the game. So
and Jordan Mason, he's not CMC, but he's definitely.
In that offense, any running back will do, pretty much.
Well, CMC is a different talent, and he can do different things, like catching out of the backfield or whatever. But Jordan Mason, and when you have who I think is the best left tackle in the game blocking for you, and Trent Williams, that doesn't hurt either. Matthew, what do you think?
Their defense.
I think the Chiefs have had one of the best defenses in the league this year, if not the best. It's carried over from last year, and
they're very young.
And when the Chiefs lost Snead, their cornerback, I thought, man, that's a big loss. Like that could really impact their defense. It doesn't even feel like it impacts them at all. It feels like they're just as good as they were last year. And I think
you probably got arguably the best defensive lineman in the game in Chris Jones.
And you have one of the best defensive coaches in the game. And so I truly think Andy Reid has Shanahan's number. I think that this is going to be a Chiefs game. I think it might be close. It might be, a touchdown, might be 4 points, but I think it's going to be more than a field goal. I think the Chiefs are going to win this game. I think that San Francisco's offense is going to struggle against that defense. I think I think Kansas City's defense is going to work some magic. And I mean, I think Kareem Hunt has looked great. I mean, he's played 1 or 2 games now, and he's looked really good. He hasn't really played this well since he was in Kansas City before. When he went to Cleveland, he was sitting behind Nick Chubb most of the time. So he got some touches, but Nick Chubb was obviously the main back. Now I feel like in Kansas City until Pacheco gets back, I feel like they've got a pretty good running back in Kareem Hunt that could open up some lanes and relieve some pressure from Patrick Mahomes so he can dial up some plays.
I look at it this way. I've picked against the Chiefs one too many times. You got to beat the man to be the man, and the 49ers have failed to do that over and over again. I would love to see the 49ers win this game, but I'm not picking against the Chiefs. They've been winning with smoke and mirrors so far this year. Now, I mean, they beat the shit out of the Saints. But before, they should have lost to the Ravens. They should have lost to the Bengals. As a Patriots fan, I can understand everybody saying that they get every call, but when you're good, you get calls because you get put in those positions and they get highlighted. I'm not picking against the Chiefs.
I agree, and I think when you have the best quarterback in the league, the best coach in the league, and either the 1 or 2 best defense in the league, you can't pick against them. It's crazy. I mean, they're gonna be in contention all the way. As long as Patrick Mahomes stays healthy, they're gonna be in contention all the way.
Last year was the year to beat them, and you couldn't beat them.
And
you
say that all these teams should have beat them, but they didn't. They didn't. Ravens should have beat them, but they didn't beat them. And Chiefs just know, just like the Patriots, they know how to pull these games out.
Shanahan is gonna dial something up. He's gonna cook something up, beat the Chiefs, because someone's gotta. Look, they're coming in too hot with too weak of a roster.
Well,
Something's
and the
got.
Chiefs are coming off a bye too,
Yeah.
so you got to
Well,
take that in consideration too. Andy Reid, with time, is by far the best offensive coach in the league. With time, Andy Reid just—I mean, he does magic with play calling.
Listen, I like I said, I want to see him lose. I want to see him just, and I understand it because people used to hate on the Patriots every year for 20 years and never wanted to see him in the Super Bowl again. So I understand it, but I respect him. I don't like him, but you got to beat the man to be the man. And there's only two quarterbacks, no, one quarterback in the NFL right now that has beaten Mahomes in the playoffs. Joe Burrow. Other than that, nobody else has beaten him in the playoffs. So that's the way I look at it.